Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3, season 3 of Youth Empowerment Radio. I am your host, Carmen Illisoy, and today I get the pleasure of speaking with Olivia. Olivia is the amazing youth leader of a youth-led organization based out of Florida called Youth Move Pinellas. Olivia and I talk about how her chapter engages young people to help with advocacy in their community. We talk about the challenges they have run into when trying to bring youth voice to the table. This is a great episode for all, especially if you are an organization wanting some more insight into how you can lift up youth voice in your community. We hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you for being here. Olivia, hey, thank you for being
Hi.
here on our podcast.
Thank you for inviting me here.
Yeah, definitely. You're with Youth Move Pinellas, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, I'd love for people to, like audience members, to get a chance to get to know you a little bit more. And I was wondering if you could just talk about a little bit about you and what got you into the work of kind of youth advocacy, and then maybe why it's important to you.
Yeah, so hi, Carmen. Thank you again for having me here today. I am the current president of Youth Move Pinellas, and I first joined the organization in September 2024, where I first started out as treasurer. My journey with Youth Move Pinellas has really opened my eyes to how powerful youth advocacy is. And it's so important because it empowers the youth to find their voice and use it to address the issues that shape their everyday lives, like mental health and education. I also think it fosters a more inclusive society where youth feel like they can direct their own futures and also create a positive change in their communities.
Awesome. So I'm curious, like what brought you into the work specifically, or what got you interested in like being a part of Youth Move Pinellas?
So, honestly, at first, I wasn't really into like the mental health world yet, but it's
Mhm.
definitely been something that has intertwined with my world. But I never realized it until I joined Youth Move, and they were at my college and they were having a sort of club fair, and so I decided like, hey, let's join and see what happens. And I've learned so much about how important mental health is and just like how to support my community. It's really it's honestly changed me a bunch.
Yeah, it sounds like through being a part of the network, your excitement and passion for the work has sort of like grown and blossomed, rather than like being super stoked about, like super interested like beforehand. It was really like actually digging your feet into like what the work meant. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So I'm wondering where to take this, because I know that some audiences might know what Youth Move is. And so I guess just give like a big picture overview of like, I'm a part of Youth Move Colorado. You're a part of Youth Move Pinellas, which is in Florida, right?
Yes.
And we're all underneath the umbrella of Youth Move National, which is a youth-led organization that has multiple chapters underneath them throughout the nation that do a lot of like youth advocacy work and things like that. And one of those chapters is you and Youth Move Pinellas. And I'm curious about, you touched a little bit on like your chapter's focus area, which sounds like it's a lot of mental health. And I'm curious about like if you can talk a little bit more about how your chapter creates spaces that feel really safe and non-judgmental or like stigma reducing for young people regarding mental health.
Yeah, so Youth with Pinellas is a host organization chapter, and we do focus a lot on mental health, awareness, and also community support. So one of the things that we do like even for our board meetings, we like to do an authentic check-in. So essentially what we do is we rate our week out of 10, and 10 is the absolute best it could be, and then 1 is it definitely could have been better. And even though it's something small, it's so impactful because I think it allows us to be seen as humans with true emotions because, of course, life isn't always positive. Like, of course, we're going to go through obstacles. And it's nice to be able to express how we're actually feeling and have some transparency in how we actually are. And so, this little activity, we like to carry it into our actual events where we have more youth and young adults. And we allow them to share their stories and experiences if they're comfortable. And we always make sure that they feel supported and that they can be themselves without the pressure.
Is that activity, it sounds like it's some sort of icebreaker that you were describing, like that check-in. Is that something you do at some of the events that you hold around mental health as well?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. So you were saying that your chapter is a host organization or has a host organization. Can you talk a little bit about that? Is that, yeah, just for audience members that might not know what that means?
Yeah, so our host organization that we work with is National Alliance on Mental Illnesses, and we have some supportive adults from that organization that help our chapter to be youth led, and
I see.
it gets kind of like the ball rolling for our chapter.
Gotcha. You aren't statewide, right? You're in a county in Florida. Like you're
Yes, we're
supporting
in,
just a county?
yes, just Pinellas County.
Pinellas County. Okay, gotcha. Okay. I don't know Florida too well. Is that like, can you remind me where that is in Florida, that county?
Yeah, so Florida is a peninsula, and we are the
Uh-huh.
peninsula of the peninsula.
Okay.
But we have Clearwater
Okay.
Beach, and we're nearby Tampa Bay.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. So you were mentioning, you started talking a little bit about your events and how you use this icebreaker at some of your mental health events. And I know that when we were talking last, you said you had some really cool events in 2025 that you wanted to highlight. And I was wondering if you could walk us through each of those events. Yeah.
Yeah, so in 2025, we had 3 major events, and our first one was called Healing Through Comics, which was a free interactive 4-week workshop where we used comic storytelling so that our participants could reframe their experiences and become the heroes of their journeys. And some of these experiences include life transitions, identity, and grief. So, with the help of a local artist, Jeff Morris, the participants were able to reduce the stigma through the arts and build confidence and self expression. And after this workshop, we took some surveys, and one of our participants said that they loved it so much and would definitely do it again. And our second event was
Oh, quick
called,
question. Oh,
oh,
I
yeah,
just have a
yeah.
quick question about the first one, kind of before we go to the next one. So, this Healing Through Comics, it sounds like it was a 4-week workshop. So, what was the process for this? Did like young people come in like once a week or a couple times a week and they were shown how to create a comic for themselves? Did they just come in and start creating the comic through like the lens of what their mental health journey has been? I guess I'm just curious, like about like some more details of how that looked like, what that looked like.
Yeah, so we had some youth come into our office because that's where it took place. And we also had the artist Jeff Morris there to help guide the participants in what they wanted to include in their comics. and what experiences they wanted to put in.
Okay, gotcha. So Jeff was the one that sort of created the comic for them, and then the young people told them what they wanted to put in to that comic.
No, it was more like a mentorship. So the
Okay.
participants themselves, they were the ones who were illustrating the comics, and then Jeff was just there for support or if they wanted to draw something, but they didn't really know how to.
Gotcha. I see. I see. Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, I just feel like that's the reason I ask all these questions is I feel like it isn't a way I've heard of. I think it's a really unique way to kind of talk about your mental health, like through the lens of like something lighter, like a comic book, you know? And I'm curious, like you were mentioning you got some feedback, and I'm curious if like using this lens of like using a comic book to share your story, if that made young people, if it felt lighter to them to like talk about mental health in that way. I'm curious if that was the case or if it was different.
I would say it definitely involved more work than just talking about mental health, but through creating comics and using the arts, it felt more connecting for them to illustrate it out themselves. And sometimes it's hard to talk about these experiences that they're going through, and drawing it out, I believe, to really help them a lot.
Yeah, I think what I was trying to say was like through using a different way of expressing your mental health state, if it sounds like that was just really beneficial for them because they were able to draw it, they were able to like release it in different ways. Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm curious about that second event that you were about to mention.
Yeah, so our second event was called Youth Explosion, and Youth Move Pinellas held an interactive workshop called Coping Skills Corner for third to fifth graders. And we participated in a community mental health day. So there were also other organizations. And we had a bunch of activities like bracelet making, coloring, journaling, and breathing techniques. And at the end of the day, we had a really fun Kahoot, which was super high energy, and we had over 200 participants. And the Kahoot really reinforced the mental health concepts that they had been learning all day. And we observed, me and my supportive adults, we saw that the participants, they were able to just be in the moment of what they were doing, like bracelet making. They were able to just enjoy it and release the tension without any pressure.
Hmm. What would you say like the impact of that was for young people? Like, did y'all get any feedback on what coping skill they liked most or resonated with them most or anything like that?
So we didn't take surveys for that one, but it was just something that we were able to observe. Like, we also had a board game activity, and we saw that so many of our youth were just smiling and having fun while playing, while others are more just focused on coloring. But you could see that they felt very grounded in what they were doing and calm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like there was yeah, it sounds like y'all just kind of offered a little bit of everything in terms of like different ways that someone could self-regulate themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, what was this third event?
So, our third event was called Waves of Resilience, which was a beach cleanup in collaboration with Keep Pinellas Beautiful. And we had youth and community volunteers come out to participate in an international beach cleanup, which was led by the Ocean Conservancy. our board created so many hurricane preparedness kits because this was an event that was held a few months after two hurricanes had hit Florida. So it was super popular and our kits ran out very fast. And
Oh,
I
really?
believe,
Wow.
yeah, I believe that this event strengthened the youth voice and it just it really brought them out to make a change in the environment and also our community.
How many people were at that event? It sounds like there were quite a few youth. Like if you were to estimate, I'm
I would
curious.
say I would say about 50.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's really
Yeah, it
cool.
was awesome.
So it was like a day thing and you created these like hurricane safety kits and you handed them out to families affected by the hurricane, it sounds like,
Yeah, so our
or
board was
individuals.
there. Yeah, we
Okay.
had a little table and so people came up to our table to learn more about what Youth Move Pinellas did and then they were able to take a kit and that had stuff like flashlights with batteries and also stuff like a USB fan, which was pretty
Mm.
creative.
Uh-huh. Oh, very cool. Yeah. There's a little bit of everything, I feel like. You have that healing through comics, the youth explosion thing, which is the coping skills corner,
Yes.
uh, day activity, and then the waves of resilience, which helped out with uh, was it two of the hurricanes, right? There were two big
Yes.
ones, right? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So it sounds like your chapter has had a lot of success engaging young people, like getting them to be interested in the events that you hold and coming to the events. And I guess I will just ask this first question and then I'll ask the second question after. But I'm curious, how does your chapter go about like engaging young people to come to these events? Like, what do you do? How do you advertise it? Like, what's your process for for that, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so the main way that we engage youth and young adults is through our smaller tabling events and partnerships with other organizations like Keep Pinellas Beautiful. And we also use social media a lot to promote what we're doing. And
Okay.
now that we have a full board, we're still working on active engagement, but we are working on our
Mm-hmm.
first event of the year. So I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. How did that work? Because you were saying that your chapter was just you for a long time, and you all recently have like a board that's made up of chapter members. Like, what was the process of getting youth and young adults to be a part of your active chapter?
Sorry, if you're going back to this, can you edit it out? I'm really thinking about
No,
it.
yeah, yeah, of course. No, you're good. You're good. Do you want me to rephrase? Would that be helpful?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. So, like, I guess I'm curious about you were mentioning that for a while you all were having trouble finding people to build out your chapter network. And now you have a fully functioning board with, I think, is it six people on your board?
Yes.
Five or six? Six people, right? So it went from just you to now you have five more people. How did you get five more people, five more young people to be active and a part of your chapter?
So we mainly focused on promoting Youth Move Pinellas locally. And what I mean by that is we started putting up posters of YMP in Pinellas County areas like schools or clubs and also
Mm-hmm.
libraries. And over time, we started to gain attention from members who are now on our board who are very driven with compassion and empathy. It did take a while, I would say a few months, But if other chapters are also going through the same thing, my advice would be to be patient, but keep trying because great things do come with time.
And do you all offer like a stipend for being a part of the board, or is it a voluntary position?
So our chapter is trying to promote that we give out stipends, but we have not figured that out yet, but we are planning to do that. But right now it's more of a voluntary position.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Do you find it helpful to like that it sounds like your focus is so specific to one thing? Which is mental health. Do you find that helpful for young people when they're trying to like figure out where to be involved? Because some chapters are focused on like five different things, you know? And so I wonder if there's like a difference between if as a chapter where you can focus in on one thing, if that kind of helps. What am I trying to say? I guess like helps make it more clear to young people like what you're offering and what your chapter is about. I don't know, but makes me curious.
Yeah, definitely. I think our main focus on mental health, it really brings the issue to light because I think that especially for youth and young adults, mental health is just something that we try to kind of shy away from because we don't want to talk about it in public. But since our chapter is so focused on it, we let our youth and young adults know that it's perfectly safe to talk about it or want to find ways to cope with it. So I do think it's helpful that we have a main focus on mental health.
And do you feel like when you're having these events, because I'm guessing you all are at these events, like your board members too, do you find helpful, like, since you all are also youth and young adults, do you find it that when other youth come to your events, they feel like it's easier to open up because like you're in, closer age and like in experience and stuff like that? Have you found that at all?
I would say it definitely does help because we had an event in 2024 with a lot of high schoolers who came to our symposium. And at the time, I did have my other board members before they transitioned to college. I miss them a lot. But seeing, I think that seeing teens also be in these leadership positions, it helps them open up because we can also experience the same things that they do, and they don't have to exactly tell it to an adult, and they can feel safe around us because we're around the same age.
Right. And what I'm curious, because something you said, leadership position, made me curious about because you're in high school right now, and I'm curious, you're the chapter leader of your chapter, and so you're in a leadership position. What has that been like for you? Like how has it been difficult, but also how has it like empowered you?
So something that's been difficult is, of course, getting communication because we are all very busy with our own lives. So trying to get together in one place at the same time, it's been a little bit hard. But when we do, like even on Zoom or in person, it just makes me very happy to see other people who really want to make a positive impact on the community. And it makes me very, very proud of them because they are all doing such amazing jobs.
Yeah. How has stepping into your being a leader like empowered you? Like what have been like the positive experiences for you being a leader of your chapter and kind of stepping into that and practicing that?
I would say being the president has exposed me to learning more interpersonal communication and also learning more empathy for my
Mm,
other board members. It's really
mm.
opened my eyes to that because I want to also understand them And like it also teaches me a lot of time management too.
Yeah, yeah. No, like I hear like a lot of practical skills and then like communication skills, which that one is huge because you're working in a team, but you're also holding like a leadership role. So like how do you, you know, be compassionate and empathetic, to your team, but then also like accountability, hold them accountable and like to due dates and things like that. So yeah, I resonate with that. Yeah, so I'm curious, we talked a little about like some of the ways you all engage with young people, and it sounds like you've had a lot of success. One thing I'm curious about is like what has been your biggest challenge what's the biggest challenge that your chapter faces when trying to engage youth and young adults in Florida?
I would say we have two main challenges, and the first one is definitely transportation, and then the
Mm,
second one is inefficient marketing. Not inefficient, but insufficient marketing.
mm.
And transportation is a very big thing because, especially in our county, it really affects how many people can show up to our events. And then, of course, if people are not getting enough notice for an event, they might not have enough time to show up.
Is public transit hard down there where you're located? Or what does that
Mm.
look like?
It's mostly personal cars, and then we do have a public bus, but it's a bit hard to get around on that sometimes.
Yeah. That's how, well, the reason I ask is because that's how it is in Colorado. Unless you live in the city, Colorado is actually a bit over, it's like 73%, I think, rural.
Oh, wow.
Um, and so everybody just gets around through their cars. And that's a big issue that we face too, is, and that's a big part of like why we do a lot of stuff virtually,
Hmm.
is because it's really hard to get people from A to B, but then also like we have a ton of mountain passes here too. And so travel is just a bit more arduous. So transportation is an issue. You mentioned also insufficient marketing. Can you tell me more about what you mean by that?
Yeah, so for insufficient marketing, because we did not have our social media manager for a long time, it was kind of hard to push out content on our social media since
Okay.
every other role was super busy. And of course, it was just me for a while with my supportive adults. So it was kind of hard to get media out there.
I see. But once you got that like social media coordinator, sorry, sorry, my Surrey decided to come. But what you were saying was having that social media marketer come on was really, really helpful.
Yeah, we were able to onboard her last month. So we're still working on engagement a lot right now, but
Okay. Okay.
I am very excited to see what she's going to create.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm curious about going back to the transportation piece because you mentioned it's a challenge. And has there been an effort or to try to kind of mitigate that being a hurdle for young people to, come to your events and stuff?
Yeah, so one of the ways that we try to minimize the transportation issue is we try to partner more with local corporations like the libraries. And
Mm,
it's definitely helped because I know that some high schools are like a few minutes away from the library. And if we have our events more locally, more students and youth are able to walk over and participate in the events when they wouldn't have really had a chance to if they had no mode of transportation to travel to our office and things like that.
okay. So it's like y'all are moving to where the young people are, it sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah, which sounds like it's near schools.
Yeah, we try to
Okay,
focus near the school area.
near the school area. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Awesome. Well, kind of as we're closing, oh, actually, no, I did have this question that I'm referencing right now, but, and this has come up, time and time again. We've had a lot of partners ask us this, but I think it's just a really powerful question, and I'd love to hear your response. But it sounds like your chapter has every effort to be youth-led and youth-driven, and I'm wondering if you could just walk us through what does that look like on a day-to-day basis, like being a youth-led chapter. What does that look like in practice?
So every 2 weeks, we try to have a Zoom meeting because our social media manager is about an hour away. So it's
Okay.
not super easy to get us all in one place. But when we hop on our board meetings, we like to share different ideas of where we want our chapter to be heading and what events we want to do. And of course, we always start with our authentic check in. So we all have
Mm-hmm.
mutual ground. And then, of course, we discuss events and things like that. And it's been really refreshing to hear about other ideas from my board members that are much different from my own. So I think that's what being a youth-led chapter is all about.
And when y'all are meeting, is it just your board members? Are your adult supports there?
Yeah, so we have two separate meetings. So we have only board members, and then we have our supportive adult meetings as well.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha. And then how does when you're in your meetings with your adult supports, how do you all make sure that that meeting is youth led as well?
So thankfully, our supportive adults, shout out to Katie and Destiny because they're the best. They always make sure that they're putting emphasis on what we're thinking more than the ideas that
Mm,
they want to do. They're always asking, like, what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about that? Is this something that you guys want to do and want to lead?
mm-hmm,
So they're just there for support and some ideas, but mainly they're the ones who are encouraging us to take the step forward and create those
mm-hmm.
changes.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. It sounds like they're not there to really offer advice or even like direct it. They're just kind of there to hold space for you all to, I don't know, get creative and lead it in the way that you want to lead it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, two questions as we come to a close here. The first one is what are you most excited about for the future of your chapter and the future of youth mental health work?
So I am very excited to see our chapter grow and continue to create spaces where youth can find their voice and use it and also feel seen and heard. As president, I've seen how powerful it is when youth are able to advocate for themselves. And I really want our chapter to continue creating a safe and stigma free environment. And I really hope that the mental health support becomes accessible and normal and, of course, stigma free. That's what I'm very excited about for the future.
And I'm sure that folks on this call are going to be interested in looking up you and your chapter. Where can they get in touch with your chapter?
Yeah, so we have our own website if you search up Youth Move Pinellas, and then our Instagram is also the same, Youth Move Pinellas. We like to share a lot of resources from Youth Move National and also the National Alliance on Mental Illnesses. And we also like to share grant and research opportunities. So if anybody is interested, we have it on our Instagram.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Olivia. It was great talking with you and hearing more about your chapter and what it means for you.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you for having me here.